Every year, more than 2 million coyotes are taken down across an extensive area, spanning over 1,700 miles, from the arid plains of Texas all the way to the icy borders with Canada. This isn't just a cold figure or an isolated statistic. It's a portrait of a deep tension between humans and nature, marked by economic losses, cultural traditions, and a fragile environmental balance. In the forests and fields, another key figure in this story, the mighty grizzly bear, can consume more than a pound of plants every day. But beyond that, its presence often poses a real risk to local herds, further increasing the pressure on ranchers who rely on livestock for their livelihood. This relationship between humans and wild animals is especially intense in states like Montana, where ranches and farms stretch out over vast areas. There, thousands of Americans strive to balance economic survival with respect for cultural traditions and the region's natural heritage. But achieving this balance isn't always simple. In Alaska, farmers and hunters face daily challenges in the wild, developing innovative management methods to control the damage caused by species like coyotes. Even so, hunting remains intense, fueling a constant debate about the ethical and economic limits of this practice. Historically, the coyote has always been part of the North American landscape, coexisting peacefully for millennia with local populations. However, as fences, ranches, and cities expanded, this harmonious relationship was broken. Today, about 5.3 million people live between Texas and Montana, and as rural areas become more populated, conflicts inevitably arise. For coyotes, adaptable and opportunistic, this scenario brought opportunities but also drastically increased their presence near farms, causing significant economic losses. In just one recent year, it was estimated these animals were responsible for the loss of more than 314,000 head of livestock, heightening human-wildlife conflicts even more. Every year, millions of dollars are lost in American livestock due to a silent and persistent enemy, the coyote. In an effort to control it, ranchers can spend over $2,500 per coyote annually. This is an impressive figure that reveals a much bigger problem than most realize. Right now, there are over 400 different methods employed to reduce coyote impact on rural properties. Some are simple, others are complex and expensive, requiring heavy investments in protective infrastructure. To give an idea of the scale of this battle, in November 2022 in Georgia, a Great Pyrenees dog faced 11 coyotes on its own while trying to protect a flock of sheep. She did her job, but at a high cost, suffering serious injuries. Episodes like this clearly demonstrate how much farmers and ranchers depend on various strategies to safeguard their animals. This silent war isn't new. As early as the beginning of the 20th century, some American states started offering financial rewards to anyone who could lower the number of these animals. But despite ongoing intense efforts, coyotes haven't just survived, they've expanded their territory, now reaching every state in the U.S. Why is this happening? Surprisingly, the more hunting technology advances, the more it bolsters coyote resilience. Drones, infrared cameras, and modern long-range weapons have made it easier to find and kill these animals, even under the toughest conditions. However, the more efficient the tools become, the smarter and more resilient coyotes seem to get, adapting quickly to danger. In states like Montana and Wyoming, despite advanced technology, coyote populations have dropped by about 15% each year. That might look like good news at first glance, but this decrease comes with huge costs to ranchers, because control efforts demand bigger and bigger investments in sophisticated methods. To fight these predators, hunters combine advanced technologies with traditional methods. Long-range rifles are common in open areas where coyotes are more exposed. Mechanical traps are also widely used in spots identified as strategic points. On top of that, experts use specific call sounds to lure these animals, making operations even more effective. Every year, in various parts of the United States, hunters come together to compete in coyote hunting tournaments. But these events are more than just contests. They're valuable opportunities to share experiences, test new equipment, and learn more about the habits of these notoriously elusive animals. At the end of these hunts, many participants make use of the coyote's pelt. They transform it into clothing or handcrafted items, which can bring a decent profit depending on the quality of the piece. But there's more to consider than just making money. A critical factor in this activity is environmental care. The constant worry about diseases and parasites means hunters are meticulous about disposing of the remains of the animals they kill, preventing the spread of illnesses that could be dangerous to both people and other animals. Even though it's often viewed as a threat, the coyote has a delicate role in the ecosystem. Besides the risk it can pose to herds, it's also capable of carrying diseases that concern local authorities and rural communities. Curiously, while coyote meat isn't widely eaten, some people are intrigued by its exotic flavor, which makes the animal even more fascinating. For many Americans, hunting coyotes doesn't have a big financial impact on the family budget, but it plays an essential role in protecting farms and maintaining wildlife balance. And that balance is the main challenge. After all, coyotes are a key part of the history of North America's prairies, both for native peoples and European settlers. Over the centuries, they've become a crucial species for controlling other animal populations. The coyote's adaptability is impressive. During its journeys, it can cover distances of up to 1,200 kilometers. Its voracious appetite can lead to significant losses. One single coyote can eat large amounts of plants every day or prey on more than a dozen sheep. Meanwhile, other areas like Alaska face different issues such as deforestation. About 252,000 acres of forest are lost there every year. Innovative management plans like the controlled herding of elk in big cities, including Chicago, have shown surprisingly effective results. In different parts of the United States, there are protected areas where traditional hunting meets major hurdles. In these reserves, common practices like using a female's howl to attract male coyotes become especially difficult. Mastering these methods requires real skill and deep knowledge of the animal's behavior. To boost their chances of success, many hunters combine traditional techniques with modern technology. Precision rifles paired with GPS systems are must-haves for carefully planned hunts. It's not just a simple pastime, it involves strategy, patience, and a detailed understanding of the terrain. In some places, this activity has turned into big festivals that draw thousands of participants. Hunters, tourists, and local residents gather not just to compete, but also to share knowledge, show off their skills, and trade handcrafted products like exotic meats and handmade goods. It's a time of celebration and collective learning, highlighting the economic and cultural importance of hunting. Among the most prized products are the pelts of the animals taken, like the grizzly bear, which can fetch impressive prices in the market, reaching more than $5,000. The coyote, though less valuable than the bear, also plays a significant economic role. But beyond financial value, there's a less visible aspect to this activity: the risk tied to eating these animals' meat. Wild game meat, if not prepared correctly, can carry dangerous parasites like trichinosis. Although most American families don't eat it, many hunters view this practice as a way to honor the animal they've killed, respecting the cycle of nature. Others prefer not to take any risks, valuing only the pelt. But for ranchers and farmers, the issue is bigger than tradition or economy. Hunting these animals is a daily necessity to protect their herds. It's a constant and unavoidable conflict that demands a balance between protecting livestock, respecting the environment, and taking ecological responsibility. In this context, hunting serves a bigger purpose than just population control. It brings people together around a shared goal, strengthens cultural traditions, and highlights important questions about living in harmony with wildlife. Across large ranches all over the country, a silent battle unfolds every day. Predators appear out of nowhere, threatening livestock and causing losses that are hard to measure. And this is just one of the problems farmers face. Besides large predators, there are smaller but equally destructive challenges like rodents and insects that directly affect crops. It's not just about financial loss. These small intruders can jeopardize an entire region's agricultural production. To tackle these threats, hunting is seen not only as a population control method, but as an essential strategy for economic and environmental survival on farms. However, this conflict doesn't happen solely in the United States. All around the world, millions of wild animals are hunted every year, with goals that go beyond crop protection. Environmental balance and biodiversity preservation also depend on this activity. Invasive species, for example, are a serious threat to local wildlife, causing immense harm to native fauna and flora. A concrete example of this situation is the case of wild hogs in the United States. These animals reproduce fast and cause damages that exceed $500 million every year. Their impact isn't limited to financial losses in crops. It includes serious public health risks through the spread of dangerous bacteria and diseases to humans. Each region has its own realities and specific challenges. In Texas, for instance, farmers often rely on government support and coordinated action to fight off large groups of invasive animals, especially wild hogs. Crops like corn and soy are constantly threatened, and controlling these invasions is a massive undertaking. In Texas, for decades, more than 40,000 hunters have actively participated in campaigns to keep these populations under control. One of the most effective methods is aerial hunting from helicopters, allowing for quick action and broad coverage in a short time, significantly reducing damage from widespread groups that are hard to reach using traditional tactics. Hunting, often seen merely as a sport, has become essential for controlling wild animal populations. Nowadays, hunting packages can range from $2,000 to $5,000, attracting not just seasoned hunters, but also people looking for different kinds of adventures. But this practice isn't purely recreational. In reality, it's part of a bigger strategy to reduce the number of invasive animals, like wild boars. As controlled hunting has grown, so has the market for these animals' meat, generating income and helping keep their populations at manageable levels. Despite criticism hunting might receive, experts argue it's the only truly effective method to quickly handle large numbers of animals. Other techniques like traps or targeted measures have their place, but they rarely match the immediate impact of regular hunting. The problem with invasive species isn't just an American issue. In places like Australia, introduced animals like wild pigs cause massive damage every year. The country sees losses topping $227 million because of the harm these animals do to agriculture and local ecosystems. In Australia, controlling wild pigs usually happens at night, when they're most active. Professional hunters use powerful spotlights and rifles to locate and capture them more effectively. It's no easy job. Around 15,000 professionals work regularly in the country, hired by companies and government agencies to tackle this problem. Along with hunters, other methods like traps and constant monitoring are used, creating a complex network of surveillance and control. The results are remarkable. Every year, more than 1 million wild pigs are taken down in operations aimed at not only reducing economic harm, but also protecting biodiversity and preventing dangerous diseases from spreading to humans and animals. When people think of invasive animals in Australia, they usually picture wild pigs. But there's another lesser-known invader that's just as dangerous: foxes. They're breeding quickly and posing a real threat to native wildlife, which is already struggling to survive. In rural parts of Australia, farmers and authorities have been using methods like traps and surveillance cameras to keep tabs on these animals. But that's not enough. A larger strategy was created to fight the problem: nighttime hunting. These operations involve thousands of participants, from professional hunters to local volunteers. Armed with rifles and powerful spotlights, they scour the wilderness at night, searching for foxes and other invasive animals. For many, these actions aren't just about population control, but also a way to protect the future of Australia's native species. However, there's a critical point. Taking out over 500,000 invasive animals each year, while significant, doesn't completely solve the problem. Population control is important, but on its own, it's insufficient. Environmental experts and organizations emphasize the need to go further. Massive neutering programs and stricter controls on domestic animals are crucial. That means holding owners accountable, raising community awareness, and imposing clear limits on the free roaming of pets that can turn into aggressive invaders. Educational projects are gaining ground, as are proposals to update existing legislation. The goal is clear: prevent domestic animals from becoming harmful invaders that further threaten Australia's already fragile biodiversity. If you enjoyed this video and want to keep up with more stories like this, leave a like down below and share your thoughts on what you found most interesting or what other topics you'd like us to cover on this channel. And of course, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any new content. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.